Hey guys, Dave here. Welcome to the Centurions Review, the punk rock band of War Game Review Institutions. This week we are reviewing Checkpoint Omega from Task Force Games. It's an old micro game from the early 1980s. Essentially, in this game, you're a racer, or you're a racing team actually, and your team consists of a racer, and you can also, if you choose to buy it, get like a fly pack, which is a jetpack for some of your troops, or you can get a three-wheeled motorcycle too. The way the game works is you have to visit all 16 checkpoints and then go back to your colored space here, and the first to do that is the victor. Sequence of play is drop smoke, then roll for initiative, and whoever wins the initiative does their movement and then their combat, and then the next player does their movement and combat. This is a 2 to 6 player game. Obviously it will play better with 6 players because you're going to have a lot more combat, but you don't have to have combat in this, but you're probably gonna, because when you do and you do damage, not only do you do damage to either the troops, let's say you're attacking a vehicle, not only do you do like hull point damage to the vehicle, but you also do damage to its drivetrain, which slows it down, and slowing them down will help you win the game. So on the first turn, units can only move, and that's pretty much it. They can't disembark like a jetpack or disembark a three-wheeled motorcycle. That's not allowed until the second turn or later. So before the game begins, you are going to want to purchase your team. So some of the things, you're given points to spend. Some of the things you want to spend is on endurance points. Depending how many you get is how much it costs. Endurance points are how many hits your main racer vehicle can take. And then you want to spend points on armor thickness. Obviously armor thickness 3 is better. You'll take less damage when hit then. And then on your power plant, get one that moves you 6 movement points a turn, one that moves you 8 movement points, or one that moves you 10 movement points a turn. And then you can choose buy a weapon if you can afford it, either a laser or a rocket launcher. And if you buy a rocket launcher, you have to buy 4 rockets, or an exploder, machine gun, or 2 mines. You can lay mines in this game, which is kind of cool. And then the optional things are the fly booster, that's the jetpack, or excuse me, not the fly booster, the fly pack auxiliary is a jetpack, and then a tri-carrier auxiliary, that's the three-wheeled motorcycle. And if you really want to, you can spend money to equip your crew with like pistols, machine guns, energy blasters, grenades, smokes, or grenade launchers. Energy blaster is the only crew equipment that can damage another vehicle. So the reason you might want to have purchase weapons for your crew, other than the weapons that are mounted on the vehicle, is if your vehicle's destroyed, your crew can get out on foot and still try to take checkpoints. Basically what happens in this game is on the first turn everyone moves to their nearest checkpoint, and then the second turn they disembark their fly packs or their three-wheeled motorcycles, so you have more units that are chasing after checkpoints each turn. So we'll do a turn now. So we roll for initiative. We're not doing any smoke first turn. And they both rolled the same, so they'll roll again. And this time the white is for the maroon. They're going to go first. So the maroon team, they have a speed of 10. So this is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they took checkpoint number 1. Remember, on the first turn, there's no combat. And so this guy has a movement of 10 too, so he's going to go after checkpoint 2 first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, so let's show an example of combat now. Let's say, for example, this racer got in range of that fly pack. That fly pack actually has a crew member with them, so we'll put a gunner on there. Fly pack has an endurance of 4, so it can take 4 hits. And the maroon guy's armed with a laser. So you use this table here, and laser at range 1, so we'll need a 5 or less to hit. So he gets a 4, and the armor is 1 on there, so it does 6 endurance damage and 3 movement. A fly pack only has 4 endurance, so the fly pack is destroyed. Let's pretend there's some other combat somewhere else in this. So 2 racers against each other this time. So he's going to roll and needs a 5 or less. Gets a 1. And this one, the maroon, has a armor of 1. So laser, armor of 1, so he does 6 endurance damage and 3 drivetrain damage. So this one goes from moving 10 now to having a speed of 7, so that was an effective attack. But as you can see, the game's best with the more players you have, because there's going to be more combat. With only 2 players on the board, you're probably only going to have combat once or twice, or maybe even in some rare games, not at all. But if you have like a 6-player game, there's going to be tons of combat. We'll go to our review portion now. Hey guys, Dave and Len here. We just played Checkpoint Omega from Task Force Games. What'd you think of it, Len?
Actually, it's a fun game, almost like those Euro games. That it's easy to play. I mean, you explained the rules in like, was it 1 or 2 minutes?
Yeah.
And that was enough to get me started and for me to plan my strategy and eventually defeat you.
Yeah, this game, it's okay, I guess, with 2 players, but it's one of these games where the more players, the better. I think it's a maximum of 6 players, I believe. And if you have 2 players, there's not going to be much combat. You might run into the other guy once or twice in the game, probably just once. But if you have 3, 4, 5, 6 players, there's going to be tons of combat. It's essentially a racing game where you're going around. There's 16 checkpoints you have to visit. And on the way, if you come across the enemy, you can shoot at him to try and trip him up or kill him so he can't take his checkpoints before you. So you got to take the 16 checkpoints and then go back to the middle space, which has your color on it and the board. That's like your finish line.
Yeah, we only played a few times, and we missed most of the time. We had both times 5 out of 6 chances of hitting and missed. So I think all I did was I damaged your vehicle. I put a few hits on it, slowed it. He lost 1 movement point.
Yeah. What's cool is when you do damage, the damage does both endurance point damage and engine damage. So the endurance point damage is kind of like hit points on your vehicle, and the engine damage, let's say you have a speed of 10 and you take 1 engine damage, now you have a speed of 9. So taking damage there can really trip you up because it's slowing you down. It's a racing game and you don't want to be slowed down.
Yeah, I was wondering if I hit some more on the fast. See, this is like the second to top speed, because I figured I thought this would be more combat, so I wanted more space for more weapons. And it looked like most of the time I didn't need it.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing cool about this game is you get secondary vehicles. Like you can have a jetpack where you can have one of your crew member fly around the board independently of you and take some checkpoints on its own. So, and there's also a 3-wheeled motorcycle in this, so you can theoretically have a racer, a jetpack, and a 3-wheeled motorcycle in this game, so that each one would have 1 crew and they'd drive around. The only problem is your main vehicle, the gun on it, or laser or missile or whatever, you won't be able to operate anymore since the other guy is on one of the other vehicles. But that gives you 3 vehicles you can go after checkpoints with. So
yeah, that's part of the reason why I won, because with my jetpack guy, I went to all the rough terrain and collected a whole bunch of stops until you blasted him out of the sky, you mean person. I thought I was going to lose it then, but after when you did that, I just realized I had only 3 checkpoints left, and they're all in front of me in clear terrain. So, yeah, actually, this is just by itself, this is a fun racer game.
yeah, definitely, and the more players you have, the better it's going to be.
Yeah, because there'd be more shooting.
Definitely. Thanks for watching, and we'll have something else for you guys next week. Have a good evening.